E3 2010. This was probably one of the first, at least that I remember, really paying any special attention to, since at this point I was in my sophomore year of high school, and when I wasn't on my weird sleep schedule of going home from school around 5 p.m. then waking up at 4 in the morning to ride my bike to school and wait 4 hours for school to start, but that's a different story. During these weird hours, I was gifted a laptop by my school to do work as part of the academy I had joined. I did what any self-respecting 15-year-old would do. Use it to play emulators and watch anime, among other things. But because of this freedom, I was able to play a lot of emulated games, like the Ace Attorney franchise, some Pokemon games, the Summon Night games, and it was because of the announcement at E3 to some big games I was interested in, like the Batman Arkham City, the Sly Cooper Collection, Zelda Skyward Sword, Kid Icarus, and of course, Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. And while I was losing my mind over that, we were seeing this weird kid that wasn't a Disney character or a Final Fantasy character, but a little game called The World Ends With You. So my first playthrough with this game being an emulator was interesting, since this was an early 2007 DS game, which means it had to utilize the touchscreen controls as well as the dual screen features. And while this is another Square Enix game, it was also another of Nomura's creation, which was interesting to experience. I played the game and got through the first week and stopped playing since emulating the game was a little unwieldy, and I mostly did it so I could get some context for the next Kingdom Hearts game, and honestly, Dream Drop had plenty of issues without dragging Neku and his friends into it, and as you can watch right here with the Dream Drop review. But with all that said, the game has gotten a bit more of a following since 2007. It got a remake in 2018 and an anime this year of 2021, and also a sequel that just recently came out at the time of this review. For this review, I am going to look at the remake that was put on the Switch, since it has some quality of life adjustments as well as new content. So, let's go ahead and focus with The World Ends With You, Final Remix. Jesus, Nomura, what is up with you and all these asinine titles? The story begins with our protagonist Neku Sakuraba in the middle of Shibuya in the scrambling crossing, showing a very aggressive side of him and dislike for humanity, and thus he puts on his headphones and blocks out the entire world. After the title card, we see that Neku wakes up in the scrambling crossing with the mysterious black pin placed in his hand. As he clutches it, he is thrusted with noise of voices in his head. As he ponders what's happening, he gets a message on his phone saying to head to the 104 in 60 minutes or face erasure. Like any normal person, he believes it to be spam and tries to delete the message, but it doesn't. Then he gets a sharp pain in his hand and he sees a countdown timer in this game's enemies, the noise. He tries to get anyone's attention, but they all ignore Neku as well as the events that he is seeing. As he runs and the game flashes us with the important characters that we'll be seeing, Neku notices some people being attacked and disappearing. That's when a girl appears named Shiki Mizaki and tells Neku to forge a pact with her. Neku, not really understanding, forges the pact. The two are binded by light, and before Neku really even understands what is happening, Shiki gives him something that becomes a mainstay with the series, pins. Using this, he is able to use special attacks called Psychs that allows him to wipe out the noise. After the two have some breathing room, Shiki tries explaining things to him, but Neku outright ignores her and tries to figure things out for himself and leaves her much to her surprise. She manages to catch up with him, and after a not too friendly exchange back and forth, Neku says he doesn't have time for her or some stupid game, that he does what he wants. With Shiki curious to why Neku doesn't understand that he too is part of this game, and that they have to be with their partner in order to survive and hopefully win the game. After Neku reluctantly makes it to the 104 and erase noise, he wakes up and it's day 2. From here, Neku slowly finds out as the days go by that people called the Reapers are the ones who are running the show in the Shibuya Underground, as they call it, or the UG. What does that mean actually? Well, the people in the UG and the players are all dead. Yeah, your boy Neku is dead, but he has no memories of the events, and he doesn't remember anything before the first day in the UG. But if Neku and his partner Shiki can survive till the end of the week, then he can return to the real world. Throughout the week, he meets hot-headed Beat and innocent little cinnamon roll Rhyme, 2 other players who are competing as well, 2 antagonist Reapers, Zuki Yashiro and Koki Karia. The Reapers want to erase the players, earn points so they can climb through the ranks of the organization running the game. Finally, the mysterious Sanai Hanakoma, who runs a coffee shop and gives advice to Neku and Shiki. Honestly, I'm reluctant on talking more about the story because it really does have a very compelling plotline, with a lot of twists, but because I feel like this game is hard to get into for everyone, especially the Switch port, and then especially with the sequel that's just recently came out at the time of this review. So, some of the important things in this game comes up there. I'll give you one last spoiler jump here. Okay, ready? Neku, as he starts to reluctantly go along with the mission since he constantly yells at Shiki and shows no interest in beat or rhyme. In fact, he almost outright kills Shiki when the Reapers promise to let him out of the game early. However, it wasn't the truth at all, and when stopped by Mr. Hanakoma, that they find out more of how the game works. Everyone is here because they died, and everyone gave up something important to them to get in here. For Neku, that was his memories, hence why he had no recollection of them explaining the rules of the game or how he got the UGs, since they collected his entry fee when the game started. For Shiki, her entry fee was her appearance. She actually looks like her friend Eri. When Shiki died, she was jealous of her friend, and that to her, Shiki felt like she was plain looking and that Eri was everything she wanted to be like. Beat and Rhyme being brother and sister, I can get a little more into Beat later, but Rhyme's entry was her dreams, but she too doesn't remember her past or even her beloved brother. The rule starts to become clear to Neku. The timer is a countdown for everyone, and whoever finishes the mission will clear for everyone. However, the Reapers are trying to kill as many players as possible during the weeks leading to the final mission. Neku, still just a complete tool towards everyone, even when he watches Rhyme die right in front of him, and knowing that Beat will die even sooner without a partner. It's not until he finds out about Shiki's entry fee when he sees Eri walking around looking just like Shiki. Or rather, that Shiki looks like Eri. When Neku realizes what Shiki gave up and how she doesn't understand that her appearance was her entry fee and that it was precious to her, is when Neku starts to truly feel like he's friends with Shiki and that some people aren't actually trash or in his way. With Day 7 finally coming, the only remaining players are Neku, Shiki, and Beat. The final mission is to take down the Game Master, Yodai Higashizawa. After finding out, Beat tries to take him down by himself, but Neku and Shiki, knowing that he can't fight using Sykes without a partner, they race down to beat to the Game Master. The two manage to get to Yodai and defeat him, winning the game. That's when they find out that Beat is still alive, but there can only be one winner of the game. The people running the game decide that Shiki will be the person that can return back to the Overground. Shiki hesitates, but Neku says that it's okay, and that he'll be joining her, and that he will meet the true version of her. Shiki vanishes, and the conductor, Megumi Kantanagi, gives Neku back his entry fee of his memories. But he notices an important memory is missing: how he died. However, the conductor states the memory was missing before they collected it from him the first time. Before Neku can figure out too much, he is enrolled into the next game's week, but this time they take his most precious thing to him now as his entry fee: Shiki. Neku wakes up in the Scramble Crossing and panically searches for a partner right when he is attacked by more noise. He makes a pact with Joshua. With Neku's newfound goal in mind, he is now determined to win and come back to life, not for himself, but for Shiki. Isn't it great that he got Joshua, who, not unlike Neku in the beginning, Joshua is very introverted and pessimistic. Joshua is actually getting in Neku's way during this week and wants to do anything other than the missions that are given by the Reapers, which outright pisses off Neku. Most of this week is more used to explore the world and as in who the Reapers are and what brought this game on to begin with, and Neku finds out that Mr. H may be a local street artist that Neku resonates with called Cat. Since the new GM hasn't assigned a new mission, Neku reluctantly follows Joshua around. It's during this time that Neku realizes that he can scan Joshua's mind, and during this he realizes that Joshua may be the one who shot and killed him. Neku, not sure what to do with that information, ends up completing most of the week when he sees some taboo noise that are killing some of the Reapers. Neku ends up trying to save two of the Reapers that antagonized him most of last week and this week, but the two end up getting erased. With the final day looming and having to take out this boy right here, Sho Minamimoto.
Better slow. You're out of your vector.
This guy is such a tool. It's great. He makes me feel stupid since he insults me with math that goes over my head most of the time, and he looks like he could break me in half. Honestly, the guy steals the show from the rest of the villains. Neku reads Joshua's mind one more time to see that maybe Joshua didn't kill him, but stopped Minamimoto from killing him, which, after the two take down Minamimoto, in a last-ditch effort, shoots Neku. but Joshua stands in between them and disappears in a bright light, and Neku wins the game. But according to the composer, that the last game is null and void, since Joshua wasn't dead, and he entered the UG illegally, so Neku has to play one last game and not be allowed to play again after week 3, meaning he has one last chance to win and get out of the UG. Week 3 starts and Neku is the only player, but that means he can't fight. That is until Beat comes in and decides to be his partner so that way they can win. Oh right, Beat. Yeah, during the end of the first week, Beat joined the Reapers in hopes of being able to bring his sister back, since she died because of Beat. When Beat got into a disagreement with his parents, he ran out with his little sister chasing after her. When she almost got hit by a car, Beat tried to push Rhyme out of the way, but they both got hit by the car, and they both died. Beat holding onto a pin that is her sister entirely as Noise, in hopes to become the new composer and to bring her back to life. After the first day, the GM gives them one mission for the rest of the week: find and take down Mitsuki, this week's GM. They spend most of the week dealing with her shenanigans of her taunting them and getting sidetracked by other elements until the final day. They head to Shibuya River, where Konishi appeared from Beat's shadow. They then take her down and get the Rhyme pin that was stolen from them earlier in the week. But they are not done yet. They head into the Reaper's lair where they find Shiki. The composer Megumi brainwashes Shiki and fights Neku and Beat. After the fight, Neku heads deeper into the lair and encounters Joshua, as Megumi absorbs Joshua, Shiki, and Beat and has one last Japanese-style final boss. After Neku forms a pact with all 3 of his former partners, he is able to defeat the composer in his final form. Neku finds out that Joshua is some kind of deity of some sorts that can see both the real Shibuya and the UG, and has the ability to pretty much destroy Shibuya. It's during this time you find out that he made a deal with Megumi, saying that he had 1 month to convince him that it was worth saving, and Joshua chooses Neku as his pawn to win for Joshua, and destroy Shibuya, or the world. I don't know, this whole last part gets kinda fucky-wucky. It was at this point that Neku finds out that yes, Joshua did kill Neku, and gives Neku one last game to play. A duel between Neku and Joshua, and throws Neku a gun. Neku, while he wants to protect Shibuya, doesn't want to shoot Joshua, and drops the gun, where he is shot by Joshua again. However, Joshua, admiring the trust that Neku put into him, decides to spare Neku and to bring everyone back. Neku wakes up in the crossing, this time in the real world. Neku, being observed by a bunch of people, stands up and screams,
Why? What the hell?
A week goes by, and Neku talks to Mr. H, or Joshua in his mind, and meets up with Beat, Rhyme, and the real Shiki, and Neku finally takes off his phones. Now, that's where the game ends with the original story. The Switch does add one more story mode that more or less teases some of the events of Neo, but I think I'll save that for the Neo review coming up next. But let's talk about the game, cause buddy, I got some things to say. So the original game being on the DS had a lot of touchscreen controls and some 2-screen gimmicks, so how do you translate that for the Switch? Well, not great to be honest. While you can play this game with it docked, you can't use a Pro controller. You have to use the Joy-Cons like a Wii remote, and using the gyroscope functions pretend like it's pointed at the TV, and slide and tap to use this game's weapons, the pins. This is also how you play in 2-player mode. A second Joy-Con can be used to control the partner and can be used in conjunction to do combos. In single player, you can control the partner by doing specific movements, but this wasn't something that was obviously available in the DS version, and the top screen controls your partner, who had their own enemies to dispatch, with bottom screen controlling Neku. If you're not playing it docked on the Switch, you're using the Switch touchscreen control to actively use the pins, which is... Alright, the pins. So, you can equip certain types of pins that range from tapping, touching, sliding, and making shapes to pull off these attacks. You can't equip pins that require the same movements, so the game doesn't flip out. You can customize and evolve pins, which the game does something cool. If you have pins you are leveling up and are not maxed out, and you stop playing for a while or even for the day, when you log back in, you'll earn EXP based on how long you were gone, with you getting less and less the more days you go without playing continuously, up to 1 full week. Which, that's another thing. You can also eat food to level up your characters with them getting full. After a certain amount, you can eat more after a 24-hour period has gone by from the time you ate during the actual physical day. You also have to burn up the game's in-game meal before eating anything else by fighting noise. Doing so will give you whatever stat boosts from the food.
It's edible.
The noise can also be fought by scanning them in the game and looking for a fight, and can stack up to 4 times for a marathon fight. You can also give yourself a handicap by scaling your levels to change the multiplier and chance of getting new pins, as well as what difficulty you set for yourself. Although certain enemies won't show up if you are too low in difficulty or too high. In fact, what an enemy can drop will change based off the difficulty set, and you can keep track of what they drop in the Noisepedia. Certain clothes can be equipped along with the pins that can send trends in certain areas of Shibuya that allow your psyche to do more damage or less depending if what you are using is in style or not. You can increase your style by just fighting a lot in the area with those pins and wearing the clothes that are popular, or make them popular. So do you follow the trends or be a trendsetter? You can get all these items from different shops all over Shibuya. You won't be able to access certain shops on different in-game days, so make sure you get what you want when you can. But don't sweat if you can't afford something right away, because certain days will give you freedom of most of Shibuya. There's also a New Game Plus mode where you can select what day you want and be able to hop days if needed be for different challenges and rewards you weren't able to access, even fighting the bosses over again. The shops range from food, clothes, medicine, pins, and CDs. The music, oh my fucking god, is so goddamn good! The final remix version allows you to listen to the original composition of these tracks, as well as the remix version of these songs, and honestly, they're both really good. I even ended up downloading the original songs and was jamming to them when I'm on the go. And this is where I could have done an ad for headphones if I had one. Anyway, all joking aside, the music in this is pretty sick, and it's rare for me to enjoy the entire OST of games soundtracks, but man is it good. The original composer, Takuhiro Ishimoto, just did a phenomenal job on the soundtrack. Just give it a listen if nothing else. Oh my god, I forgot this even happened. So, the game also has this thing called Pin Slammers that allows you to use different pins that can be used in multiplayer mode on the DS and Switch that allow you to compete with a couple of different pins. It's nothing really to worry about. Some of them do certain things and you just try to knock each other off of the board, kind of like sumo style, but again, it's a little time waster. Other than that, the Switch port offers an extra mode that adds canon to the story that, like I said, I will save for later. There's also another mode that is made after beating the game that is just a goofy what if that has no canonicity. With all the ups and downs, can I recommend this game? Well, I would say if you can try to play the original version of the game on a handheld console, if possible, because when I tried the original on a not 3DS or DS, it was just way too clunky, but with the extra bells and whistles, this should be the penultimate way of playing this game. But it's a hard game to translate to one screen, and they did their best, but man, if you skip the game on the Switch, I couldn't blame you. The story alone to me made it worth the purchase, and I'm glad I finally got the chance to play the game and finish it for myself, but it's not for everyone, and I get that. Well, I'm going to try and see if Neo: The World Ends With You is better, being built from the ground up on modern hardware, to see if it's worth the price of admission. I do plan on going back to the platformers, but I wanted to make sure these got out since YouTube is all about being relevant. But hey, you made it to the end, so maybe you liked the video, or if not, tell me in the comments section below, and go ahead and make sure you tap that subscribe button and smack that bell to know when the next video's out. Make sure to check me out on the Bluebird, the Purple Box, and the Nostalgia Cam if you want to see more of my art, as well as whatever updates and gameplays I'll be giving in between reviews. Once again, Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys again real soon.